Today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Titans Returns Trypticon and all of his accessories. I thought I'd start the video off with taking a look at Full Tilt and Necron here. As always, I'm kind of working my way up from small to big, or I guess medium then small then big. But anyways, let's get on with the review. As you can see, Full Tilt here is kind of a little bit of a brick of a car. There's not that much going on to him detail-wise at first glance, but when you get real close to him, you can see a lot of that little sculpted detail right here, especially like with the headlights, the little rivets, and all the little paneling on here. That really actually helps sell him as some sort of car. I also like the little engine right here in the back. Now, he is mainly this purple color, which is okay for his vehicle mode. Let's face it, you're probably going to have this guy mostly in this mode and attached to Trypticon's chest to make him look a little bit more accurate to the show. So I can kind of forgive that. However, when we get him into his robot mode, I think that the purple is actually a benefit. It makes him look just a little bit more intimidating, in my opinion. Now, he does have this little gun right here on his chest, so it could swivel around if you really need to. So, like, choo 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 choo, and it could pop off if you wanted to, so you could just have him as a plain car. He rolls rather nice, especially considering that his wheels are just pegged on here with just the little snapping pegs. You can see them, like if you press those apart, you could snap it off. Some vehicles have, or some robots, they have the little metal bar that goes all the way through here for a little bit extra stability. Now, you can actually open up his little hood right here, or his cockpit. Fell right here, and you can see even more of that detailing right in here for all like the little computer panels where Necron might actually pilot him. Necron's your actually typical Titan Master figure. There's very little coloring on him. You can see some detail right there in the head and on the arms and chest. Just the little black of the head and the silver and red for the visor right here when he's in his head mode. Arm articulation, it's always the same. It's just arms move up, head moves around, legs bend, yada yada yada. Just get him into his head mode, and there you go. Alright, now to transform Full Tilt here, you gotta pull these little panels right here. I'm going to admit that I tried to actually transform this guy without the instructions first, and I was not sure how to get these off. So yeah, I almost broke this guy. Shouldn't really be admitting that on camera. But anyways, you're gonna fold these panels up, move the legs out like so. There we go. Move the panels back into place. There you go. Then we're going to separate his arms out. Now, you're going to want to be careful with this because I've seen a lot of people like pull it a little bit too hard and the arm pops right off that ball socket. That's not going to damage it permanently your first couple times. I mean, that happens with ball sockets a lot. However, the more you do it, the weaker that little connection on the ball socket gets, so the arm might not always be able to stay up. So yeah, that is something to kind of be aware of. All right, next you're going to move these little arms out like this. Move this part back and around to form like a little bit of a backpack here, and then you're going to put Necron right up here on the head to form Full Tilt. Now I'm going to fold his head around like this just because it makes it a little bit easier to get him in and out. This is a very tight joint to get this Headmaster or Titan Master in there. Oh man, yeah, it's very tight. Maybe I should try it back the original way. As a matter of fact, I'm a little worried that getting his head on and off is going to break it over time. As you can see, I'm not even pushing it down all the way just because I don't want to take that risk of it breaking off when I transform this guy. Now, as far as articulation goes, his head can move side to side, and even if you have it only down like this, you give him a little bit more articulation with it sticking up like that. Socket joint on the shoulder, as we talked about. Bicep swivel, elbow bend. There is no waist articulation, but you do get this nice range of hip movement right here. Thigh swivel, and then knee bend. His joints are pretty tight. Oh, almost forgot one part, the crotch piece, to just fold that up to cover that screw right there. There we go. Now he's proper. Zip up your fly, man. Oh. Anyways, as I was saying about the joints, they are nice and tight. There is no ratchets to them. However, I feel that if you were to play with this guy and use them quite a bit, these joints will just get worn down over time. However, like I said, you're most likely going to keep this guy in his robot mode and attached to Trypticon's chest, so there's probably no worry of him getting worn down anytime soon. And just to add to the look, we're going to put his little gun right here on his arms. So it's like, die, Autobots, die. Now, as I said about the amount of purple on him, it kind of makes him blend in vehicle mode. However, in his robot mode, it actually makes him look a little intimidating. In my opinion, it's almost like he's full Decepticon loyalist. He has the whole Decepticon color scheme going on 100% completely. It kind of reminds me almost a little bit of, like, I know this is a little bit of a stretch of like evil versions of characters or shadow characters, like almost like Shadow Link or so. Whenever they have someone come out of the shadows, they're usually always dark or purple or black. So that's kind of what he reminds me of. So it just makes him look a little bit more intimidating. There's not really much else to say about him in his robot mode, and the same with Necron here. So let's go ahead and get him back in his car mode and take a look at Trypticon himself. Alright, so here we have Trypticon in his city mode. As you can see, he's pretty darn big and impressive. As a matter of fact, he takes up the whole area of my table, and his legs aren't even spread out to their maximum length on what they show in the instructions. More on that issue a little bit later. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I was never really a big fan of the original Trypticon city mode, and that was mainly because I had a few issues with the legs. The support beam that's supposed to hold the legs right here in the middle was just a generic smooth column, whereas these ones actually look like kind of landing gear that you'd find on a spaceship or an actual plane. And the legs right here were just kind of flopped down, and it never really had any support. These ones actually stay out, and it helps sell that whole look that what they were going for. I also love a lot of the detailing on here, especially with the skyscrapers, the side paneling right here, and even on the legs and the front part of, I guess, what's supposed to be a spaceship mode later on. There's also a nice little bit of detailing right here on the side. It just really helps to sell that, yeah, this is a really technologically advanced life form slash base, unlike the original Trypticon, where they mostly relied on stickers. Now, full tilt right here can actually slide down the little ramp right here, as you can see. Just slide it down, and he actually picks up quite a bit of speed. It's a nice gimmick that they had for the original one that they carried over here, so like I said, it's very nice to see that they actually kept it. Now, if you want to keep him as one of the third skyscrapers right here, just move this panel down, slide this forward, and you're going to want to make sure these two little grooves slide into the back right here, and there's a little hole that's going to fit right on a peg right here. Don't try to pull this off, and then otherwise, because you might actually break it. And then just pop this part back into here, and there you go. He's now the third skyscraper. There's a lot of little holes and pegs on this guy to actually fit some of the other Titan Returns weapons or little Titan Masters vehicles right here. And you can actually just stand little Titan Masters on here. So he is covered with quite a few of them. I don't think he has quite as many as Fortress Maximus, but there is still enough of them spread around to where you can actually deck this guy out into a fully populated city if you really wanted to. Yep, I'm not going to even try to stand him up. There we go. Get him right here. There you go. And I'll just put him over there. So as you can see, you could actually populate him pretty well. Now that's pretty much it as far as he goes on his city mode. So let's go ahead and get him into his spaceship mode. Now I haven't transformed Trypticon too many times, mainly because there is a little bit of a design flaw with his legs, to where if you move them too much, you could actually strip the little ratchets that keep his legs steady, or break him altogether. The issue is that the spring is a little too strong in there, and there have been online methods to where you could either take the spring out and put a little paper in there to add friction, or you can cut the spring in half. The method I've seen is where you actually just take it apart and you just work the little spring until it becomes a little bit more looser and not as strong. That way you're not actually breaking anything, and you still kind of have all your parts together. That's the method I might actually do with this guy, but because of it, I haven't transformed him too much, and I'm going to try to do this all in one take as I can. As you can see, I've even already taken the liberty of transforming this side over here already. It's just because, yeah, with how much you pay for this figure, the last thing is you want to do is break the legs on this guy, considering that's the thing that's going to support him in his dinosaur mode. First off, I'm going to start off by moving these panels all the way up, and we're going to take this little ramp and move it all the way around right here. And there's actually more detailing down here and little pegs, so if you want to attach the little Titan Masters right here, you can. Okay, next up we're going to take these panels and move them back all the way around. I don't know why you would move them out like this and then down for a spaceship mode, but that's just part of how the design goes. Next we're going to take this ramp right here and fold it up to reveal two forward laser guns. Next you can take full tilt here, and he can actually be a gun as well with this little barrel right here at the front, so just move him either at an angle or all the way front. He's just a big forward cannon. And then we could actually take the two skyscrapers and turn them into two giant cannons as well. Now here's the part where I'm going to be a little nervous to do this, and I'm going to try to do this the best I can. We're going to move his legs out like this. Then we're going to want to bend this part down like so. Move this part around here, and you can see that there's a lot of little pegs down here and a lot of little holes, so it's kind of tricky to always get these lined up. especially because you got to make sure the leg is completely bent straight. And it can be a little tricky, so this is where the slowest part of the transformation process will be. Alright, so next we're going to bend his leg, and there's a little peg right here that's going to fit into a little slot right here. Now, as you can see, the wing came all the way off, but that's okay because it pops right back on. As you can see, my leg doesn't fit all the way over there, so I am going to have to try to bend this a little bit. I'm going to try to do this the best I can. There we go. That is a very tight snap. I don't think anything broke on him just yet, but I have felt this one getting a little bit looser, and I'm a little concerned about that. There we go. That part fits right in there. And there you go. He's now in his spaceship mode, which actually I really like his spaceship mode a little bit more than his city mode. Just for some reason, it just fits. It's all nice, compact. It doesn't have the same flaws as Fortress Maximus, where you lift it up, his legs would just fall down. If you picked him up, he's quite a heavy guy, but you can see everything is kind of just one-hand him and just pretending like it's flying through space and all that cool stuff. Yeah. He has some wheels, so he can roll around on the ground if you really wanted to. Also, with the back of his head right here, he has another, his guns or his mouth back here can always be rear cannons if you wanted to pretend he had those features. Let me go ahead and take, his head fall up. Let me go ahead and take full tilt here, because there's another feature right here where his tail can actually lift up. And you can slide full tilt right in here, so he can be like a little pilot for his spaceship mode. I'm not really sure why they would have that, because if this guy's really going to be a spaceship, all the robots should really be this big on him if you're using your imagination. But you can stick any one of these guys in here. You can stick Hot Rod or any of the other Transformers in here, and they could have just a little extra storage area where they can go. That's pretty much it for his spaceship mode. So let's go ahead and get him into his Dino mode next. Alright, now thankfully for the next part of his transformation, we don't actually have to worry about putting any extra wear and tear on his hip joints. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to start off by moving these little panels up and around like so. Next, I'm just going to get the skyscrapers and move the barrels down and get them out of the way. Next, we're going to fold his wings up like so. We're going to separate the feet from the main body right here on either side. And then we're going to fold this part up. Now there's a little notch right here that's going to snap onto a little peg right here. And there's also a little button, I should say, right here that's going to release a little lever right here. And this is all to help kind of hold his sides in place. Now when you're transforming this guy back out of robot mode, remember you got to use this little button, or else you might run the risk of actually breaking this piece. Next we're going to snap that into here. Do that on either side. Okay, hopefully everything will stay. Yeah, there we go. Nice snap. Next we're going to take his hips and pull them out and move them down like so, and just make sure they snap into place. Alright, and then we're going to move his legs forward, extend his toes out, and move these little support parts down like so. There we go. And now we can kind of stand him up right up. His feet right here. Now a nice thing too is they actually have his tail that can actually slide back if you really wanted to, and just adjust the feet to where he's standing up properly. There we go. I'm going to probably have to adjust my camera a little bit more. There we go. Next we're going to bring his arms down like this, slide them out like so you can extend them. There we go. Now we're going to want to pull his head forward just a little bit, because of how these parts right in here, it will keep it from actually turning his head. So to move his head all the way around, just going to move that like so, bring his head down. Oh, and as you can see, this door wants to always fall open. I've seen some other reviews where that's happened with other people as well. Now you could either have his guns forward like this, so he could be ready to attack, or you could kind of just have them back like, yeah, he's chill, he's not ready to attack anybody just yet. And there you go. That's kind of how Trypticon is when you transform him. It's pretty simple, straightforward, and like I said, you don't have to worry about putting any more wear and tear on his hip joint. Alright, having Trypticon fully transformed and on display like this, I think is where he really shines and he's at his most impressive. That's not to say that the other modes were bad, it's just I kind of like this mode the most. Also, this is probably going to be the prominent one I display him as, just because this is one that it takes up the least amount of space. The city mode and spaceship mode, I have nowhere to really store him in those modes. He has a good range of detailing on here, which is a nice upgrade. Well, from the original one, which was simple and good for its time, but in this modern day and age, it's nice to see that there's all this nice little extra detailing like right on his arms and on his legs, just like I pointed out before. It has a good range of articulation too. The head is sort of has some articulation. If you move the cannons up like this, you can move the head side to side if you really wanted to, and then you can move the head up and down like so, and then the jaw opens like this. Now, as you can see, this little panel wants to pop open all the time. I've seen some other people have this issue as well, where it doesn't really want to fully stay closed. So I think it's just a design flaw overall, but that's just a minor nitpick. He does have a little hole right here to where you could take little Titan Masters, and it's like, oh, good, I'm eating them, yum, 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 yum. And then you just open it up and pull them right out if you want to. It's actually kind of a nice little storage area if you really wanted to think about it, kind of like the old toys where you had one big vehicle, you just put all your figures in there, and that's where you take it from your friend's house to back to your house. His arms have a good range of articulation too. They can move all the way out, forward and back. Got an elbow bend, a wrist bend, no wrist swivel though. And then his little fingers and claws can move up and down, so if you really want to have him like grabbing someone, you can, like, "Arr, arr." His legs can also move forward too, like I've said, like there's that ratchet joint, so yeah, but I don't really want to move that too much. His legs can move side to side, forward and back, as you can see, and there's a little bit of ability to move out. He has a nice little bit of a knee bend, and there's also ankle articulation, so if you really want to have him spread out and get him some sort of poses, you can. All in all, he's a pretty darn impressive figure. I really like it. I'm happy I bought this guy, especially because I wanted someone to just be displayed against Fortress Maximus and kind of have them fighting. If you really like this guy, I would say try to pick him up online. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store. Or if you want to wait and you're on the fence about it, you could maybe try to hunt him down at Toys R Us around the holidays. But anyways, this has been a look at Transformers Titans Returns Trypticon. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or leave a comment below in the comment section. Any advice for the show will be greatly appreciated. Who knows, something you suggest may appear on the show in the future.